Welcome to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast, your guide to future tech trends and innovation in a language you understand. Now, over to your host, Neil Hughes.
Welcome back to another episode of the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Now, I'm quite excited to hook up with an old friend of mine. He's been on the show before, but for those of you who can't remember, Evergage is a real-time personalization platform company, and they recently announced the availability of its new published book, One-to-One Personalization in the Age of Machine Learning. And that was authored by Evergage CEO Karl Wirth and Katie Sweet. Now, the last time I met Karl, he was getting up to all kinds of mischief in Las Vegas. But not the kind of mischief that you're thinking of, you little rascals listening out there. So I wanted to catch up with him and break those old rules of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas and find out what happened. But more than anything, I wanted to understand why businesses today need to deliver individualized experiences to their audiences across all channels. Now, anyone that's ever asked the question, why businesses need to care about personalization, or are interested in the evolution of the internet towards personalization, or how machine learning actually enables real-time one-to-one individualized experiences and how they can plan for personalization campaigns, or even slightly interested in the future of personalization, should really enjoy this episode. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to Massachusetts so we can speak with Evergage CEO and author of One-to-One Personalization in the Age of Machine Learning, the one and only Mr. Karl Wirth. So a massive warm welcome back to the show, Karl. But for anyone that's hearing about you for the very first time, can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Great to be back, Neil. Although it was a little warmer last time we talked. So I'm Karl Wirth. I'm the CEO of Evergage. We're a real-time personalization and customer data platform.
Now, after 400 interviews on this podcast, you remain the only guy that I've enjoyed a poolside interview in Vegas with. So you're right in what you're saying. It was a lot warmer last time we spoke. But for anyone listening that is new to the show, can you remind them of the mischief that you were causing in Vegas earlier this year? And also why you felt it was so important to get that message out there?
Definitely. Yeah, so we had a good time talking at the pool in Vegas. We were out there at the Adobe Summit, and Evergage had been a sponsor of the Adobe Summit in 2016, but then we weren't invited back in 17, which was good in a sense in terms of we were very much on their radar from a competitive perspective. But we really wanted to still get our message out there that there's a next generation way of doing personalization that makes it easy and much more possible for marketers to do personalization and realize success than what they're somewhat stuck with the Adobe suite. And so we wanted to get that message out there. And so we did some disruptive marketing campaigns, not obnoxious, but just kind of getting attention there.
Now, you have been incredibly busy since that poolside chat, and I believe you recently wrote a book about delivering one-to-one personalised experiences that ultimately delight customers and grow revenues. But can you tell me more about this book, which is called One-to-One Personalisation in the Age of Machine Learning, and also why you felt it was so important to write it?
My colleague and I, Katie Sweet, and I wrote the book this year, and it was really something we've been meaning to do for the past couple of years through conversations with prospects and customers and all the businesses that we're talking to, thousands of businesses, about personalization. Everyone has been dreaming about it, but they weren't aware of just how far it has come and how possible it is to now do true one-to-one personalization. So there was that segment of the population we wanted to help them realize that it was now possible. And for the others, though, who were realizing it was possible and actually getting in and wanting to do it, wanted to give them something of a handbook or a field guide for how to think about it and how to achieve one-to-one personalization in their organizations.
Now, personalisation has been the dream for marketers for years now, and in the One-to-One Future book, published in 1993, the authors Don Peppers and Martha Rogers predicted that marketers would be able to use the new media of the one-to-one future to communicate directly with customers individually rather than shouting at them in groups. And anyone that's had a check their inbox over the last few days with the whole Black Friday and Cyber Monday thing will know what it feels like to be treated like a group where you're just deleting 100 emails each day. But is this road to personalization something that you followed right from the beginning?
It is. Actually, I remember Peppers and Rogers in 1993, that book, The One-to-One Future, and it was a terrific book then and really is still now. I would say, and I think they themselves would say at the time it was somewhat of a work of science fiction. It was looking to a future that they saw would come, but wasn't really possible at that time. But everyone was excited about that time in the rise of the internet, and I think at that time everyone knew that that's where the internet had to go, and it's where we've all wanted it to go for the past 25 years. So yes, I followed it that whole time, and it's really exciting to me and something I'm proud of to be part of actually realizing that science fiction future or that dream today.
Now, I often talk about how the rise in customer expectations is driving a whole new different level of requirements now as standard. So I loved your recent quote, which was, once shoppers have a taste of personalisation, be it through Amazon, Spotify, Netflix, etc., they come to expect this kind of experience as a baseline across all their other interactions with other companies too. I mean, do you think that many companies fail to realise just how much a big deal this is? Or is it more of a concern about how they get to this destination with their limited budgets and low margins?
I think it's more the latter. We definitely talk to companies that don't realize this. They think that because there are, let's suppose, in the financial industry, that my experience on Spotify doesn't matter or the like. So we definitely talk to people who that's a realization for them. But most do understand that it's the same person, and the experience that I have in one kind of part of my life affects how I'm thinking about every experience. So for instance, the fact that as an individual I'm having a great experience on Netflix is going to affect how, as a business buyer, I'm buying software, buying other services. Absolutely, because I just think this is so frustrating. Why can't they do it like Netflix? So most companies realize this. And then they're in the latter point that you made, which is that they're saying, okay, I know I have to get there, but how am I going to get there? How can I actually, I don't have the resources of Netflix. How can I actually deliver that kind of a personalized experience?
So just in case we do have any non-believers out there, I mean, can you just illustrate why businesses really do need to care about personalization?
Yeah, so you made one point already, which was the fact that people are being personalized in other channels. And so that's raising the level of customer experience for everyone, or the demand on people expect to have a good customer experience. But I think more fundamentally, if we just step back and say, what are we trying to do as our business? We're trying to have a interaction, a relationship, provide a service, provide products to people. And those people in the end are individuals. And they are very different, and they are different stages of a life cycle with you. They have different relationships with your brand or your business. They have different interests. They have different intent in the moment that they're interacting with you. And so every one of them is actually quite unique. And we're used to, as we talked about before, shouting at them in groups. If we could understand them as a person and relate to them as a person, it's just patently obvious that we would have a better relationship with them if we did that. And therefore, in that better relationship, some of them, not all of them, but many of them would buy more from us, stay with us more, et cetera. And so that, as you think that through, that's just clear. And it's why everyone has been looking to this dream of one-to-one personalization for the past 25 years.
So if we have awoken the curiosity in anybody listening here, how will your book help the reader deliver stellar personalised experiences? And also, what can they expect from your book?
Great question. So we tried to both give a vision and also be very practical. So some chapters of the book will lay out, here's what this means. Here's examples of what it could mean for a retailer, for a financial institution, for a technology company, or a gaming company, or the like. So we lay out, just like I was describing, what if you could talk to a person in a one-to-one way, and the vision for that and the benefit of it. Then we go into case studies of saying, okay, well, here is how a particular financial organization or retail organization is doing it, so you can learn from examples. And then we go into the nuts and bolts of it and say, okay, if you've been inspired by this and can now see it's a practical reality, not just a pipe dream, how could you, as an individual or as an organization, go about actually doing this. And so we then educate about what does it mean to personalize? What are segments and rules and triggers? We spend a lot of time talking about machine learning and saying, well, what is machine learning? Because that's really the only way that you can get to a one-to-one level with people. What is machine learning? We demystify it for you, explain it, give different examples and case studies again, and say you could take these different piece parts that we've taken you through and apply them in your organization.
So I also have to ask, how important do you think it is to personalize across channels, such as your website, web app, on-site search, mobile web, mobile app, in-store and contact center? I mean, there's so many different avenues, isn't there? But we expect that same experience wherever we go.
We do. And as I keep saying, and I'll keep saying, in the end, our customer is just a person. Yeah. And that person doesn't think about your business as channels. They think, oh, I'm now having a relationship. I have an interaction with this business. And so the personalization has to be cross-channel. It's essential because they want to have one relationship with you, not 7. That will be quite confusing for them and not a great experience. But that said, it can feel overwhelming, as I think you were pointing out, to say, oh, wow, how do I do that across the 10 channels or whatever that you mentioned? And so we always will work with a company in a staged approach where you pick one channel that's either the most pressing to you because of problems with it or opportunity, or perhaps is also the easiest to get going with, and you'll get going there and then add the other channels sequentially over time. You can do several in parallel, but it's always good to crawl, walk, run.
So as we look towards 2018, what do you think is the future of personalisation, at least in our immediate future? And also, what role do you expect Evergage to play in that future too?
I think about this a lot. I think that the time has now come. It's already was in 17 and will be more so in 18, where one-to-one personalization will have gone from, yeah, that would be nice, to, oh, I have to do this because my competitors are doing it, my quote competitors in other industries, but my competitors for people's customer experience are doing it. And the time is now. And we're seeing that across the board, that people are going from thinking about it, early stage adopters kicking the tires over 15 and 16 to in 17 becoming mainstream. And so I expect that to continue in 18. And the good news about that is I think that we will, and this is maybe putting it negatively in a sense, but even in 18, we'll start looking back at what we were doing in 2015, 16, 17 and laughing in the way we look at AOL, the browser, from the 1993 time period or whenever it came out, in terms of, that was nice at the time, but it's kind of laughable compared to the internet today. That will be the same. That we'll look back and say, man, we were really talking to everyone the same when they came to our website, no matter what they did. When they read an email, when they called up, we would just forget everything about them and ask them all the same questions again. How could we have done that? And from an Evergage perspective, we're proud to be leading that charge.
It's crazy, isn't it? We really don't realise just the speed or that hyper change that we're living in now, and that everything just runs past so fast, and you don't take stock of just how far you've come in such a short space of time, do we?
We don't. It's true, and it's amazing and fun to be a part of, but it also even plays into this theme of it's therefore all the more important to be relevant. If everything's moving so fast, when I'm getting hit by stuff, if it's irrelevant, boom, delete. I'm not paying attention. If it's relevant, okay, I'll listen to you. So.
And assumingly as well, it's the businesses that can't keep up and can't deliver that next generation level of personalisation that are going to quickly fall behind, no matter how big you are. Is that right?
That is right. Yeah. I mean, there's studies out. Gartner has one that says in the year 2020, those who are personalizing at the one-to-one level will outperform those who aren't by 25%. So they're already seeing that and making those kind of predictions. So yeah, it's a must-have, must-do situation right now.
Yeah, there's the ROI of investing in this right there.
Right.
Well, a huge thanks for coming back on the show. But for anyone listening that wants to find out more or ask a few questions, can you remind us of your website, or also how they can contact a member of your team, and probably most importantly for your good self, there's how they can get a copy of this book too? Sure,
that'd be great. So just to get in contact with Evergage, it's evergage.com, which is EVERGAGE, so Evergage, evergage.com. And then to get the book, it's that same URL, so evergage.com/personalization-book. So evergage.com/personalization-book. I'd love to share it with you. It's actually it's free there. You don't even need a sign-up form or anything. We won't ask you for your name. We want to get this out, and so you can just download the book right from that address.
And that's what I love about what you guys are doing now. It's all about getting the message out. I think a lot of people, especially business leaders, might be a little bit baffled about personalisation or think it's out of their reach, and it really isn't. So I applaud you for what you're doing, and maybe, just maybe, we could meet up for another poolside interview next February in Vegas. How does that sound?
I would love that. It's a date. Let's do it.
Excellent. Well, a huge thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks. Good to talk to you, Neil.
It's always great to catch up with Karl, and I love what he's doing there. Anyone that's had the displeasure of checking their inbox over Black Friday and Cyber Monday have probably deleted 20, 30, 40 emails every day that are ultimately irrelevant and ill-timed marketing messages. I think as consumers, we're just tired of being bombarded. And I think it's my hope, at least, that personalisation will actually help cut through that clutter and improve customer experience, and ultimately increase conversions for the company in question too. Now, Gartner, they report by 2018 organisations that have fully invested in all types of online personalisation will outsell companies that have not by more than 30%. But should we be surprised by this? The senior e-commerce manager of Lenovo, he summed this subject up perfectly. He said once shoppers have a taste of personalisation, be it through Amazon, Spotify, Netflix, they come to expect this kind of experience as a baseline. And essentially, businesses need to rise to this challenge. And one of the quotes in the book from Karl there is, the key to using personalisation is using the new media of the one-to-one future to communicate directly with customers individually, rather than just shouting at them in groups. The end game must be one-to-one personalisation with experiences uniquely tailored to each individual, wherever they engage with and that should be wherever they engage with a brand across a plethora of devices there. And it did used to be a pipe dream, but I think thanks to advances in machine learning now, and the fact that computers can process vast quantities of data in milliseconds to make the best decision about what to show an individual, that is the big game changer. And of course, when we're used to this baseline of having Netflix telling us what we like to watch, Amazon telling us what we like to buy, and hey, you can even buy a Starbucks coffee over Facebook Messenger. If you receive any friction or any bombardment of irrelevant generic messages anywhere else, what are you going to do? You're going to turn and go to the competitor. So I think there's a lot of food for thought in this episode, and a big thank you for Karl for coming on today and sharing that with us. Because I think as long as personalisation is done right and it appears to be invisible rather than creepy and intrusive, I think onto a big, big thing. But that's just my opinion. But for everyone listening, what do you think? As always, send me a quick email to techblogwriter@outlook.com, or equally tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. Whatever you want to talk about, if you've got any questions, if you want a Christmas card from me, or you just want to show me where you listen to the show and what you see when you listen to the show each morning, just simply pop me a message. I answer to all emails, apart from spam or generic marketing messages, of course. So a big thank you to everyone listening today. It's time for me to go now. So until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thanks for listening to the Tech Blog Writer Podcast. Until next time, remember, technology is best when it brings people together.